for various transgressions of the law. However, the number of traffic fines issued is less than those issued over the same period during the previous festive season by 101,595,000. This is an indication of improving compliance with the rules of the road by many motorists. I must hasten to add that this is no cause to celebrate, because every transgression is a potential fatality. The number of arrests have also come down from 302,3052 previously to 291, representing a slight improvement in driver behavior. However, we remain concerned about the high number of people who continue to drive under the influence of alcohol. A total of 1,397 drivers were arrested for drunk driving, while 272 were arrested for driving at excessive speed, and 438 had outstanding warrants of arrest for failing to pay previous traffic fines. I'm pleased to report that as a result of efforts we've made to heighten law enforcement, the effective coordination of law enforcement operations by the RTMC, and an improvement in responsible road usage, we have seen a significant decrease in fatal road traffic crashes so far this festive season. A total of 489 fatal crashes have been recorded, which is a 25% decrease compared to 656 fatal crashes recorded over the same period last year. To make it simple and to understand, fatal means death. It means people who are no more. These crashes have resulted in 589 people dying on our roads so far, compared to 839 last year. This represents a significant 30% reduction, followed by passengers at 34%, drivers at 26%, and cyclists at 1%. All provinces recorded a reduction in fatalities, with Gauteng reducing fatalities from 133 last year to 95. KwaZulu-Natal went down from 172 to 135. Western Cape from 85 to 54. Eastern Cape from 102 to 81. Free State from 80 to 56. Mpumalanga from 83 to 40. Northwest from 60 to 36. Limpopo from 94 to 73. And Northern Cape from 29 to 16. In the coming days, we'll intensify our efforts on pedestrian and passenger fatalities by ramping up policing inside suburbs, townships, and villages. Law enforcement operations focusing on drunken driving and the wearing of seat belts will also be increased. The reductions recorded so far do not mean we are out of the woods yet. This requires of us to intensify our efforts and work together to make our roads safe. One life too many. Just losing one life on the roads is too many. Our fight against the carnage on our roads remains steadfast. We'll work hard to utilize every possible avenue in law to oppose bail for those caught speeding in excess of 200 kilometers in a 120 kilometer hour in a zone. We will apply the same vigor in ensuring those arrested for drunken driving, reckless and negligent driving are also denied bail, as these are major contributing factors to the high levels of fatalities on our roads. Those driving unroadworthy vehicles, which are in fact mobile coffins, will not be spared from this treatment. We will equally pay serious attention to pedestrians jaywalking on the roads, as these people contribute significantly to fatalities. Communities must work with us to instill a culture of responsible pedestrian behavior, as reckless behavior leads to loss of life. Most of the fatalities that we have registered this year account for pedestrians, people who are just walking on the roads and across the streets in our townships and everywhere. Corruption is a cancer that not only erodes our moral fiber, but also creates a culture of lawlessness and impunity. Those who solicit and pay bribes enable this corruption, which ultimately undermines our efforts to save lives on our roads, which ultimately undermines our efforts to save lives on our roads. The days when motorists were able to bribe their way out of facing the consequences of the law are over. We'll show no mercy to both law enforcement officials who solicit bribes or motorists who pay this. We will chase them in all other manner that we can in terms of our guerrilla tactics to ensure that we bring them to book. I would like to commend our law enforcement officers and emergency personnel who sacrifice their family time to respond to the call of duty to save lives on our roads. I would also like to express gratitude to many South Africans who continue to show respect for traffic laws and the rule of law in our country and behave responsibly on our roads. I also thank religious organizations, community-based organizations, the public transport industry, the freight industry and the media for their contribution, and implore them to continue supporting our efforts to save lives on the road. I would like to remind everyone the success we have recorded so far should not lead us to complacency. Our job is not yet done. We must continue to implement our intervention with greater intensity. A busy period lies ahead as holiday makers continue to make their way to holidays destinations and festivities during Christmas and New Year long weekends. As you would have witnessed here in Beitbridge, Beitbridge accounts for the busiest cross-border area in our country that connect us to Southern Africa and our neighbor Zimbabwe in particular. As you will have witnessed, many Zimbabweans who come to our country are Zimbabweans who are law-abiding. They've got documentation, but there are equally those you will have seen as you go across and see that cross to South Africa illegally. You will also have seen the vehicles this morning that have been impounded coming through this area where we are in, and roadworthy. We also arrested a driver from Zimbabwe for drunken driving coming from Zimbabwe early morning, 0.7 with alcohol in his blood. So we have seen that what happens in this cross-border. But our law enforcement is overstretched and they do a marvelous job. But we didn't come here because we don't know what is happening. We know what is happening here, and that is why our vision is a border management agency. Border management agency is our answer to what is happening here. Not one law enforcement will win the battle here. It requires a multidisciplinary approach through a border agency that we are going to implement. Home Affairs, on my left here, the police, cross-border agencies from transport and all others, South African National Defence Force, All we want is our borders not to be porous. Everybody coming to South Africa must recognize and respect the laws of our country. That's what is important. Otherwise, Zimbabweans, left and right, South Africans, left and right, you can go to Zimbabwe and back, get married and back, weekend and Saturday, any time of the weekend. It doesn't matter. What is important is that we must respect Zimbabwe and its laws, and respect South Africa and its laws, and process people accordingly. As South Africa, we are committed to the implementation of the border agency going forward. I want to thank everybody who came to join us here for the release of these statistics, but as we continue to work together to ensure that the rule of law prevails in our country and ensuring a safe festive season for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Indeed, during this morning, you heard what the Minister said. Now is not the time for us to relax. The hard work indeed continues. You also heard from Minister Mbalula that this is a multidisciplinary approach. We do have the Deputy Ministers of both Road Affairs and Police here to field any questions. And with that said, I'm going to ask one of my colleagues from the media if there is any area of uncertainty and any clarity, which have
as one government, so there isn't much to say.
Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula briefing the media there on statistics on the road so far.